Hi, welcome to the Mashcast episode 23. I'm Kenny, joined as always by the wonderful Charlie. Charlie, how are you today?
Man, I guess I'm wonderful now that you mention it.
101
I'm
times
doing
over, yeah.
not that much.
Oh,
A
okay.
little lower.
So at some point in this episode, we'll be joined by Billy, we think. We said, hey, you want to start at 4? And it's actually 3:58 right now. I'm not even wearing a watch, but I made the motion like I was. And so Billy's like, well, I'm going to go buy coffee, and then I'll join. So who knows when he's popping in, Charlie, but that's fine. You and I prepared this show. I did a little bit of work, and then you did a lot more work than I did, it looked like. So
Uh, I don't know about that.
uh,
We'll
this
see.
ep- this episode, we're going to be talking about all the games in 2021 that we're super excited for. Last time we kind of covered kind of like some inside baseball of our own podcast for 2020, and then we talked about some games that we liked. But this is about looking ahead to the future. What are we hyped for? What are we really looking forward to buy at a $70 price point in 2021? But first, we still have been playing some games this week. Charlie, you want to go ahead and get us started?
Sure. So I've been playing a couple things actually. One that I just found out about this week and probably saved my sanity from this past week, to be honest. This is a game that's still in progress, but it came out last year actually. But for whatever reason, it started circulating the Twitch chatter, I guess. Friday Night Funkin'. This is
I've heard about this.
kind of it's like I think it started on Newgrounds. It's also on Itch, and it's just like your typical Stepmania esque, DDR esque. You
Okay.
got your arrow keys, and you're going to a rhythm.
Okay. Are there
But
a lot of people playing that on Twitch though, with all the
not, I
nonsense?
wouldn't say a lot. I wouldn't say a lot, no.
It's a
But
bad time to
um,
get into that kind of game.
I suppose. But I really like it. I haven't played a lot of those games, but I've been kind of in the mood for a rhythm game for a while, and this one, obviously, it's very much a work in progress. They've only
Hmm.
got like 10 songs right now, and it's like a Newgrounds game in terms of quality, so that's
Right.
what
Well,
you're getting into.
they have to
But it's
preserve
got
these things
oh, exactly.
now that Flash no longer works.
And I really like what they do with it's kind of like a rap battle s situation where uh, you're playing. I'm assuming a teenager. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a real Newgrounds esque early 2000s aesthetic. Uh, I think most of the people you're kind of doing duets against or rap battles esque against with what I believe are a bunch of Newgrounds characters. To be honest, I haven't really been in that scene very much, but that's what it seems like. There's a lot of creators that worked in Newgrounds have people in the game.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Um,
Newgrounds hasn't been relevant to me since like 2005. So I don't know.
exactly.
That's like YTM&D era internet.
Hmm. See, I don't really know who they are, but they seem
Hmm.
fine. It's more that it's interesting that I haven't really seen a rhythm game like this where they really do like harmony as well. Like
Hmm.
it's not just you're both playing the same beats at the same time, or they're playing the beats and then you're playing the beats. It's like a flow, like an actual rap battle would be.
Right.
Um, I don't know. The music's just, it's really, as the kids say, banging, I guess, or lit, or fire, or whatever is used these days.
I use some
I really
phrasing.
like it.
Yeah.
I, I
No,
don't
go ahead. What I had to say was not good.
know.
So go ahead.
No, I mean, that's it, really. All of it's very electronic or MIDI esque, so it's not like actual singing.
Hmm.
It's just different tones and frequency type stuff. But that's really good. I hope that they actually make a full game out of it. I don't know. I would guess I was gonna put it in this list, but it doesn't have any timeline on when it's coming out, so
Right. Yeah, there was
I
a
did not.
one game in particular I wanted to add onto this list, but I don't. We don't. It's not confirmed for this year yet. So
Mhm. There's actually a lot of games like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've been mostly playing that, and then I finished up Kentucky Road Zero, which I started at the end of last year, and I don't know how to feel about that game.
Mm.
It's a very it's it's been something that's been developed over the course of the last decade because I think it started in like 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So those early chapters feel very typical point and click, but still very stylistic. It's what interested me in that game in the first place was the atmosphere of like it's very moody and uh, U.S. South based because you're just sort of going on a road trip to deliver a package to some address that you don't know where it is because it doesn't exist in a typical map.
Is this a Strand
And
type game?
uh,
You don't have to take
yep,
that answer seriously, Charlie.
maybe,
Come on.
maybe. I take all strain games very seriously. Um, I don't know. This is it's interesting because it's episodic based, but over the course of each episode, you're adding on more people to your party, and you go from controlling just a main protagonist to a group of people, and by the end of it, it almost gets too convoluted to remember everyone in the group. To be honest, but,
Mm-hmm. It's like when
um,
you watch a new
it
anime
does.
and you can't remember all these names that you've just been introduced to.
Mhm. It does interesting stuff though. Um, they have these interludes that apparently played out between the episodes that were sort of precursors to what was going to happen in the actual episode with seemingly unrelated characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it would be based on locations that you were going to. And I actually thought those were better than the main episodes, just because they were much more artistic, I guess I would say. They went for something more than just the point and click style. Like there's one that's very much just a play that you're watching through, which I never would have thought I'd be interested in watching playing a video game to watch a play.
Mm.
It
That's why
worked.
people like Final
Uh,
Fantasy VI, right?
I guess so.
Paper
Or Burst
Mario.
3,
Yeah.
right? Um, but yeah, just stuff like that. Like apparently they did like art exhibits with some of these interludes. Like they were that different from the base game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it says some interesting stuff. I don't know if I could recommend it to everyone because it's very you got to want to read. I
Oh
guess
yeah.
is what I should say. Yeah.
Well, people like
Um,
anime, so
but
they read.
it's exactly like anime.
Did you get any time to spend with Super Meat Boy Forever?
Yeah, I did. I've still meaning to go back to that. I beat it has the same sort of structure as the original game where there's a light world and a dark world with harder levels and other crazy stuff you can unlock.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I haven't done too much of the harder stuff yet, but I've finished the main campaign, I guess you could call it. I don't know. I like it's kind of what I expected, I guess. I like controlling a character better than what this ended up being, which was sort of an auto runner
Mm-hmm.
with procedurally generated segments.
It's
They do a
interesting.
lot of interesting. They do a lot of interesting things with adding on new mechanics and like screen wrapping and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the cutscenes are probably the most interesting thing about that game, to be honest.
Well,
Just like the same kind of wild stuff they do with it.
I was gonna say, speaking of cutscenes, I've been playing Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, replaying it.
Oh yeah.
And my last save file was from 2007, so it has been a long time. And it was a complete pain in the ass to get set up because I had to take my Wii out to the living room, and then I had to hook it up via progressive component cables. That's not the hard part. The hard part is that I guess newer TVs don't really understand why you would be plugging something like that into it. And so it doesn't recognize when I tell my Wii to show widescreen mode, my TV just is like, doesn't understand that something could be plugged into it and not already be widescreen. So it doesn't, and I have to just be in 4:3 mode, which is fine because Twin Snakes is only 4:3 anyways. But I'm playing a 480p game on a 4K television, and none of my Wiimotes had batteries in them. So I had to take my Wiimote, and God forbid I have to set up the light bar. So I made sure to plug in a classic controller. And this is all just so I can access tell the Wii to turn the game on. And then I get to it, and I have plenty of Wii or GameCube controllers because of Smash Bros. And the game's fantastic. It's still just as good. I mean, the whole like first hour, when you revisit Metal Gear Solid, right, and it's been a while, like the whole first hour of that game is a button check of you trying to remember how the game works, especially 1, 2, and 3, because they're so kind of reminiscent of they were before we had like standardized ideas of how games like that should control. And so buttons do things in places that you normally wouldn't expect that button to be doing something the way that it does, like firing your gun or whatever. So it's really frustrating at first, but in like one sitting, I made it all the way to Cyborg Ninja, and the game's just a lot of fun. It's fun. And then we've been revisiting, my wife and I, Ashley, we've been revisiting Ratchet and Clank for the PS4. That game's just fun and charming. And then last night I bought JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Eyes of Heaven. It certainly is an anime arena fighter, I'll say that.
Is that the PS3 one?
It was also on PS4, yeah. It's on sale for like $9 right now on PlayStation Network, so I was like, oh, why not? So I've been bouncing around between all sorts of different games, just kind of what makes me feel good and what I'm enjoying in the moment. I'm not really committing to anything right now like I was last year, where I was committing to all of these giant games like Final Fantasy VII and Yakuza 7 and Age of Calamity. So I've just been bouncing around a little bit. I'm not sure I'm going to beat Twin Snakes. I'm not sure I'm going to beat JoJo. But I'm just, whatever makes me happy in the moment is what I'm playing. And that's kind of my mantra for early 2021 with video games.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good mantra to have.
Yeah. But, well, Billy's not here to tell us about what he's been playing, so maybe he'll jump in a little bit later with that. But Charlie, let's get into what is coming out this year that we're just super excited for.
Okay. So I'll say before we start, when I was making this list, there was a lot more stuff that I would put on, but I didn't, just because it didn't have a release date, or I thought that it probably wouldn't actually come out this year. So I limited myself a bit there, but there's other stuff this list will be very different, let's say, by the end of this year, once we actually know what's coming out, because a lot of stuff we don't know necessarily.
Yeah, I think there's even stuff that hasn't been announced yet that will be in our 2021 like game of the year discussion at the end or early next year, I think.
For sure.
I'm putting a lot of high praise on a sequel to a game that I loved. So, well, let's get into it, Charlie.
Let's get started.
Yeah, Nier Replicant. This is one of my most anticipated games, and it's funny because I was pretty much forced at gunpoint to play Nier Automata, but I ended up really loving that game. And so this one, it's a different studio. I think we talked about the studio for this before, but it's like they've got a history in helping out on other games and maybe some like mobile presence, but I have faith.
I mean, that's with a remake, they've got all the structure there. It's just, hopefully, as someone who played the original, they can make the combat a bit better and make some of the menus a little less janky.
Mm-hmm. This is coming out on PS4 and Xbox One. So there is no PS5 or Xbox Series release for it. But I'm hoping that if it's not already running 60 frames per second native on like a PS4 Pro at least, that they will have planned ahead to patch like a PS5 frame rate unlocker, because I will be playing this game on PS5. So I hope that it's not held back by being strictly what is now considered an old generation title.
So I guess I don't know Square Enix's history with that, but what I was going to say was I played most of Yakuza 4 on PS5, and I noticed a lot of.
Yakuza 7.
Uh, yeah, sure.
If you've been playing
What
Yakuza 4 and you went through
No.
0 through 3 without telling me,
I-
man.
I don't know where that came from. Man. No, yeah. Yakuza 7 on PS5 is what I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed a lot of weird scaling things with that, like some jaggies in terms of resolution sharpness and some pop in, especially around the park area near the top of Ijincho.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not a common issue with games that don't have PS5 upgrades, but I'm sure it will run fine.
Yeah, I just hope that it's, they, with anything that's coming out now for PS4 and Xbox One, I sure hope they have current gen consoles in mind when these things are actually coming out. But yeah, I'm hype. I know that this is a super weird game with like fishing missions, and isn't there like some text adventure stuff that you have to do? And
Yeah, I mean, that was in the Automata as well.
yeah, and so I hope that this game is equally, it keeps that weird charm to it.
I would
Going
say, yeah, I would say this is probably weirder just because that stuff is more of a focal point than it was in Automata.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like they decided Automata was going to be more just combat based and they would have side stuff that was like that. But this game is like each area you're going to is more based around a different game design or archetype. So it's much more center point.
What are the odds that you think this gets the Final Fantasy VII remake treatment? In that it's seemingly a remake, and then it kind of goes off the rails and is like, this isn't a remake anymore.
I know they've already said, I think Yoko Taro said in an interview that there's a little bit of dialogue added to tie it into Automata, but I don't think it's going to be like that.
Mm.
I would be interested if it was, but I don't think it's going to be that.
Yeah, this game looks tight.
Yeah, I'm still excited to play it too. Just less so, I guess, because I kind of know what I'm expecting. I've forgotten a lot of the moment to moment, but it's a fun time, I'll say.
What do we got up next here?
Next,
All right, so this is also like, man, this game is taken like a journey. I've watched some like early footage of this game and it didn't look great, and then it looks awesome now. This game is being made by like I guess one guy, or originally it was just one guy, because like when I look at the developers, it's just his name, Luis Antonio. But this is an Annapurna game, and it's Annapurna publishes very kind of this is gonna sound demeaning, but artsy fartsy games, and that's kind of what this looks like. But Charlie, I've been on the record before of I'm a huge fan of Groundhog Day type stories, and especially ones that. What makes this one cool is that it's seeming like there's at least two characters who are going through the time loop, and you've got a killer cast for this. Your three central characters. You got Willem Dafoe, obviously he's right there, and then you've got James McAvoy, who played young Picard in X-Men, Days of Future Past, and the other ones, and then you've got Daisy Ridley, of course, Rey Skywalker from the hit sequel trilogy to Star Wars that everybody unanimously loved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I don't know enough about this game yet to be excited about it, but the cast and setting interests me
Yeah.
for sure.
And I mean, I don't think this is going to be, this is not going to be a $70 title. If it is, they can shove off.
Who knows?
But yeah, this is coming out. This just has a generic release date for this year, but I'm excited. Yeah.
I think this was originally going to be a 2020 game, so I would expect it to be this year. Who
Well, yeah,
knows?
I know they did all the voice recording during the pandemic, so that's probably thrown a bunch of wrenches into this game's production. And you can just imagine how much dialogue they're having to record for this game. It's got to be crazy.
Yeah.
What do we get? What do we got
Okay.
next? I forgot the order of how I put some of this stuff on here, and then I don't know your order.
That's what's great. It's a surprise.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. This Mass Effect Legendary Edition, we've known this has been coming for a long time and been speculating that it's been coming for even longer. Um, what is there to say? We've already said it before. I really want to play these games again. I never played 3. Um, and to be able to play it on PS5 with improved graphics and frame rate. Even though I think I played it on PC, so I think the frame rate was fine there. But yeah, I can't wait.
Well, I think, as far as I know, this is only last gen at the moment. It's only PS4 and Xbox One confirmed.
Okay. Well, again, then I guess I throw the same idea at it as I threw it. Whatever that other game was, near, is that I hope they have the current gen consoles in mind, at least. So it's like, hey, if you have this, trigger a line of code that says, unlock frame rate to 60 or something. So I'm hyped.
Definitely. I would really like to replay Mass Effect 1. I don't know about going through the whole trilogy, but I'd like to see what they do with a remake of 1 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, these games are Star Trek, and so it's like, I guess maybe a little bit more of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek than like anything
Not the
else,
first one. Not the first one.
but well, yeah, because 2 and 3 is where they went more action than RPG. But yeah, these games are great cast of characters. Waifu Liara and Husbando Garrus here on the screen. So however you want to, romance, you got options. So.
You think you're going to go Paragon or Renegade?
So when I played, this is some backstory for me in Mass Effect. I always do Paragon, right? But then I replayed Mass Effect 2, and then I was like, in my head canon was like, what if something went wrong, right? Spoiler alert, you get like, you die at the beginning of Mass Effect 2 and they like reconstruct you or something. Or something like, I don't remember exactly, but in my head canon I was like, what if something went wrong with the reconstruction and I came out of it a renegade? And so then I played through Mass Effect 2, not the whole thing, but like maybe half of the way through it as renegade. And so no, my initial playthrough will be Paragon always, especially because this is a game that punishes you for not going to one of either two extremes. So
Yeah. I keep telling myself that I'll do a Renegade playthrough, but every time I actually start up a game that has a choice system like that, I always go back to.
yeah, it's more fun to be the good guy, and like the systems are more, they work more in your favor to just be the good guy. Sometimes it's just easier to be the good guy. It's not true in real life, I guess, but
Yeah. Well, I'll say I've seen some really funny stuff for Mass Effect being a Renegade, but yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I can't wait.
No date on that one, I don't think.
I think I don't have it up, so who knows? If you're watching, comment below. Let us know.
Journalists
Yeah,
at work here. All right. Next,
right.
Village.
So, surprising twist, I put this on this list. I did we talk about this? Maybe we talked about this off stream last time, but I'm really I have watched so many Resident Evil games be played that I think it's time I finally played one for myself. So I think this is going to be the first one that I purchase, when I get my PlayStation 5, the first one that I'll play will be 7, which will be the test for whether or not I can handle a scary first-person game. But what I really like about this one, Charlie, is that it seems like it's going to be fantasy related, and I love like the setting of like desolate snowscape, and there's a lot of like you remember in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows when they do the story of the Deathly Hallows and like the way that looked in that movie. There's some stuff like that in this game that's really cool, and so I'm excited to play it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I really like playing through the Resident Evil games, and the more I look back on 7, the more I think that was a fun experience, but I still prefer the older style of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think RE2 Remake is the peak of what they've done so far in terms of interactivity. Um, but they had to do that for 7 because of PSVR.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's going to be any VR in this because I haven't said anything.
I'd imagine at this point, no, because they haven't even announced like a new VR headset for PlayStation 5. And have they discontinued PSVR yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
There's stuff coming out this year on PSVR still.
Because I know the new PlayStation camera that they released does not support, or you can't use that in conjunction with a PSVR headset. So
Yeah.
it just seems kind of like in their rear view mirror now. But I mean, I'm sure they'll release a headset that doesn't require the camera and whatever, but with different kind of, I guess, room detection or something. So who knows? But yeah, probably not for this game.
The only reason I say that is because it's still first person,
Mm.
but that could just be design choice. I'm interested in this, but I'm wary, I guess. I know you said you wanted weird stuff,
Mhm.
and actually, the weirdest, I wouldn't call it fantasy, but Code Veronica is probably the most non-traditional Resident Evil in terms of not just zombies or plagas or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what this is going for, except a more fantasy instead of Code Veronica was more mix of sci-fi and horror, I guess.
Mhm.
So it could be good. I'm just keeping my expectations lower.
Yeah, understandable. What do we got next? All right, so as I was talking about replaying the first Ratchet and Clank, this game looks like it's really going to show off what the PlayStation 5 as a console in terms of power is capable. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful game as well, but in terms of like, I guess really more what that hard drive is going to be capable of in terms of being able to like immediately load new areas. Yeah, these games are the first game's fun. I full disclosure, I have no exposure to the PS2 or PS3 games, so my only knowledge of Ratchet and Clank is the PS4 game. This one looks great though. I'm excited.
It seemed I played the PS4 one. It seemed like a fine time, but the story didn't really get me because it was like sort of tying into the movie or something
Yeah,
that came out around then.
yeah, and there's even like they
I don't know.
joke about that in the game. It was getting a little bit too meta, and so I'm hoping that from a narrative standpoint, yeah, like this one is able to stand on its own 2 feet and isn't relying on the weird situation that led to Ratchet and Clank coming out at all. Then I hope that has no cutscenes from a movie in it where it keeps popping up telling you that recording is paused. Yeah, that was a bit obnoxious.
But yeah, in terms of what it's going to be doing for the hardware, like Astro's Playroom and Demon's Souls, it's the next thing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. We don't know when it comes out yet, but
Did you?
maybe.
Well, they've already shown off a lot of gameplay for this game, so I would imagine that this one is probably a earlier half of the year. There was what? Isn't there
I
like
feel like,
a 10-minute gameplay
feel like
demo or something?
yeah, I mean, they showed it off a bunch. I just feel like we'd have a date if that was going to be
Mm.
soon.
Maybe with the way things are in the world right now, everyone's kind of wary about if it's like if we don't have a date for it, let's not give a date until we're like 3 months out. Let's go the
Yeah,
Nintendo route.
I mean, I like that model if that's what companies are going to start doing now.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't show it to me until it's almost ready.
yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
all right.
did you play?
Yeah,
I forget. Did you play Miles Morales yet, Charlie?
I have not. I
Okay.
might get that at some point,
I
but
was just
I
gonna
have not played
ask.
it yet.
I was gonna ask what's the like dual sense on that, but I guess.
I've I've heard it's got some stuff with like the web swinging. Uh, not a ton.
Yeah, because I haven't really
Uh,
heard very much about that. But so then, Charlie, this is a game I
Next.
think is a special game for you and me, as you and I played A Way Out. So this It Takes Two game is a game by Joseph Ferris of Hazelight Studios, EA published game, and A Way Out was his previous game. Two-person type experience for 3 or 4 hours probably. Uh, Split screen couch co-op, although we'll probably play it online.
I don't know if we're going to be sharing a couch when this
Yeah,
comes
not
out.
yeah, but I'm really looking forward to playing this game, just because I think A Way Out was such a special experience, and the not to give too much away, but the way that it plays with your expectations of what it is, and but of course now I have expectations, so we'll
True. Well,
see.
this one just looks like it's going way more wild in terms of the setting, at least. Seems like it's allowing for a lot weirder stuff to happen.
Yeah.
Uh, that could mean it ends up not working out and trying to do so much different stuff.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I have faith. I think A Way Out was phenomenal for what it was. I mean, it wasn't my game of the year by any means, but I don't think there was anything about that game where I was like, "This sucks." I think it was just a really, really fun experience.
And the good thing about this one is it seems like it's doing the same thing as A Way Out, where you can play it with a friend for free.
Yeah,
Just one person has to buy it. So that's I'm always up for companies doing that.
yeah.
Uh, all right.
What we got?
Well,
So now
with
that's all
that,
the stuff I added to the list. So I have no idea what's coming next. Because I just
I'll
glanced and I saw
say,
you added a bunch, but I didn't look at what they
yeah,
were.
I limited it to 10 things. First stuff will be what do you expect, and then later on,
Uh oh.
you don't know where it's going.
Sengen Kagura. Oh, okay.
But so first, we've got a lot of the bigger releases that I remembered.
Mm.
Um, so Returnal, this is PS5 exclusive,
It's
coming
the
out in
Housemark.
March. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're sort of known for bullet shooters, but they've traditionally more been 2D. I believe these were the guys that did what's the name? That game that came out at the PS4's launch. It was a bullet shooter that people remembered that I now don't. But yeah, probably think of it 20 minutes from now. But I'm interested in this, especially after having played Hades.
Mm.
It's kind of feels like it's got a similar vibe as that in terms of you're dashing around a lot. There's a roguelike setting where everything's going to be different each time you're playing through, but there's a evolving story. It just seems like it's got good movement, good mechanics, and interesting. I'm always up for more games that are sci-fi esque horror, so
Hmm.
I'm excited for sure. Next, another PS5 game.
Mm-hmm.
Except this time it's a Microsoft game.
Oh yeah, because
Um,
Bethesda,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. So this is Bethesda now, Microsoft, but they're still honoring the 1 year PS5 exclusivity, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also going to be on PC. So there's that. Um, I'm just probably going to get it for PS5 because for Eternal and this, I want more games that use those triggers. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta have that.
I
And
can't
this
wait
game
to.
just seems
I can't wait to finally know
get
what
that
you mean.
controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, you'll know. You'll know. And then you'll feel so let down every time you go back to another game that doesn't have it.
Mm-hmm. As a real quick aside, did you hear about the Xbox survey that went out?
No.
So Microsoft sent out a survey. I don't know what the if it was like everyone with an Xbox or whatever, but they were saying like, do you wish that your controller had DualSense features in it? So maybe they're like looking at how everyone's ranting and raving about how good the DualSense is, going like, well, maybe we're gonna have to make a new controller that has haptic feedback. So
So I wonder. So obviously, Bethesda is still being integrated into Microsoft, but they're they have their hands on the PlayStation controller.
and
They're
have had
designing a
for a
game with its
while, yeah.
feature set. Yeah, and they're designing it with its feature set in mind. Is there any funky reverse engineering going on here?
Well, I mean, the haptic feedback is no different than the HD rumble in a Joy-Con. It's just being implemented differently, right?
Well, so no, that's the well, okay, yeah, I guess so. It's more the adaptive triggers that are new,
Yeah, they're
but
gonna have to find a workaround for that. But
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying like Microsoft couldn't come up with that on their own. It's
mhm.
just it just would interest me if like, hey, Microsoft owns this company now. How do those NDAs work in terms of the knowledge Bethesda has on this controller and
Mhm.
what Microsoft could do with it? Um, yeah, I'm excited. This game seems like it's got some cool powers that you're working with, sort of like a biotic effect in Mass Effect, where you're flinging people up in the air or teleporting to them, that sort of stuff mixed in with gunplay.
I wish I was more excited for this game because, as I said, I love Groundhog Day. So, but I think what's keeping me back from this is twofold. Is it's first person shooter, and I'm not really that wild about it. And from the trailers that I've seen, it seems like it's got that Borderlands ass snark to it that I just really cannot stand. And so
I did not pick that up at all.
it was especially I don't remember which trailer it was, but yeah, it's I'm getting like Borderlands tier humor from it, so uh, I'm not saying this
Okay.
won't be a good game, and I'm not saying this won't be a well made game, but um, games that try to be funny, it's real hard to make a funny game, I think. So,
I didn't really see any humor from this, so I don't really know what you're
oh,
talking
okay,
about, but okay.
but I hope you like
Sure.
it.
I'm surprised with you saying that you don't like roguelites more. If you like Groundhog Day concepts.
I got really into Rogue Legacy for a long time, but it's just those kind of games require a lot of commitment. I mean, because you're playing them for a long time, because you keep dying and then coming back, and but this time a little bit stronger, a little bit more different, and now you know how to do something. You're more learned on what you're doing, and I don't know. There's maybe if I had more of them digitally on my Switch, but
Okay. All right. Next, Ghostwire Tokyo, the other Bethesda game.
I see you've
Um,
included a screenshot here that speaks directly to me, and I appreciate that.
exactly. Like all good games, if you can pet a dog, it's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, we really don't know too much about the actual gameplay of this yet, other than it's first person and you're kind of a spirit detective around Tokyo
Hmm.
hunting ghosts. But what I've seen really interests me. Shinji Mikami of Resident Evil fame knows how to make good games, so I'm excited to see what this ends up being.
Yeah.
Is what I can say. And it's another PS5 PC exclusive. I'm guessing it's probably going to be later in the year because there's not an exact date, but
And they haven't
very
shown off very
interested.
much about it yet either, right? Just that one trailer from the.
There's been a couple, but mostly just from last year. I assume that it's okay, but I know they had that problem with the art director leaving
Mhm.
into middle of development. So I'm hoping that's not a sign that it's fallen apart at all. But
Billy, by the
see.
way, if you can hear us, you can jump in at any time.
Whoa, Billy's here.
Oh, you can't see?
I I
I
don't have
shouldn't
the
have
layout
spoiled
set
it.
up, so yeah.
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 Hi.
Hey,
Guess I can turn on my camera.
well, yeah, this
Or
looks
not.
cool. I especially like the lighting in it. Nightlife Tokyo looks awesome. So, Billy, any thoughts on Ghostwire Tokyo?
No, I'm not sure what it is. I think I was at some sort of hold on, this camera's not gonna work. I was at some sort of Xbox or PlayStation thing
Yeah,
at first.
it was at
Yeah.
the PS5
I guess it's
showcase.
both now.
Okay. I probably saw it and it didn't make much of an impact on me.
Yep.
Hey, sup?
So okay. Moving on. Solar Ash. It's by the devs who made Hyperlight Drifter.
Hmm.
Never would have guessed.
See, I look at
Hmm.
this and I see Bound, but I've watched
I
a lot more Bound
what?
gameplay than I have Hyperlight Drifter. Just like the way the colors
Uh,
are, and the
uh,
atmospheric and whatnot.
don't really think so, but okay, sure. Uh, yeah, I mean, again, there's not much that they've shown off about this, but other than fast movement, which is what I like, and interesting aesthetic
Mm.
of being in a black hole. Looks good. It doesn't take much to get me excited about a game, to be honest.
That's good.
As long as you're appealing to my sensibilities of movement or like some weird sci-fi horror-esque thing, I'm pretty good, honestly.
See, I feel like I'm way too picky about video games.
And
I'm a
it's what keeps me interested, honestly, is being diverse.
Hmm.
I'm a pretty cheap date. If the game looks pretty, then I'll probably get it at some point, even if I never touch it. So
Then that means you're the best date, I guess. You pay for everything and don't do anything.
did I say picky?
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I sure said cheap. I don't remember what I said.
No, you said cheap, yeah,
You
Okay,
said
yeah,
cheap,
that's it.
but
Yeah, it doesn't
but then
take
you
much
also
for me
said
to
you'd
go
pay
along.
for it.
It doesn't take much for me to go along and have a good time. Oh, what a burger? Sure. Okay. Some fancy restaurant? Why not? I don't care. Man, whatever.
Olive Garden, hell yeah.
Olive Garden?
Little known Italian restaurant there, Charlie.
Oh, small family Italian chain. Olive Garden.
I don't know if I've heard of that one, honestly.
So what is this game though? What?
So, I mean, as far as I can tell, it's going to be similar to Hyper Light Drifter, which was kind of as action-y Zelda.
Hmm.
You're you've got a dash mechanic that's the focal point and a sword, and you're fighting around a colorful area with enemies and bosses, and there's some light puzzle work to be had.
Okay.
But movement's kind of the focus. Movement and style.
Well, yeah, that sounds like a U game
that's
all
a two
over.
that's two things you just got to tell me, and I'm already interested.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're getting into the weird stuff.
Okay. All right. I've never heard of
So
this.
you probably have not heard of most of the rest of the games I'm going to talk about. Massmaker is a VR game coming to PC this year. That's a follow up to the same studio that made A Fisherman's Tale, which is probably another game you haven't heard of. But this is a company that's made a lot of VR stuff. A Fisherman's Tale did some really cool perspective based gameplay in terms of you're like you guys probably are never going to play this, so I'll just tell you.
Yeah.
There's in A Fisherman's Tale, you were a sort of craft doll-like fisherman in a lighthouse that also has a model lighthouse inside it, and the puzzles were around you interacting with the smaller version of yourself that moves as you move to navigate the world.
Okay. That's interesting.
It's probably a little weird to wrap your head around without seeing a video, but it's one of the more inventive VR things, and this looks to be similar. So,
Cool.
not much to say, but I'm excited. Another VR game, Eye of the Temple. This is basically Indiana Jones. So, you've got very few VR games that actually make use of moving around in space. A lot of them have just ended up being you're kind of just standing in place and moving slightly to the side or up and down
Hmm.
to pick things up or whatever. Uh, this is a game that's making use of space. So you've got a lot of like rolling logs that you have to physically walk backwards on to make sure you don't fall off a log,
Oh
sort of
my
thing.
God. Okay.
Or
Sounds
like
like a nightmare waiting to happen.
or like or like moving platforms that you also have to duck and move around on
Yeah.
as you're going across. Just like cave trap stuff you would see in the Indiana Jones movie, but it's the whole game. Uh, I played a demo of it last year, and it was pretty fun, if not a bit hectic. But I'm ready. I'm ready for more. It had very good whip physics. Very good
Nice.
whip physics. More so than the rope tech people were raving about in Last of Us. I think this did that even better.
I don't remember that being particularly impressive, but
From a
cool.
developer standpoint, it is apparently.
Nice. I guess,
Yeah.
if you make something in a game that's supposed to be realistic and it is realistic, I shouldn't be impressed. A layman like me should just be like, okay, well, yeah, that's what a rope's supposed to do. The
I
best
mean,
work
I
goes
guess
unnoticed.
I guess when you think about it, have there really been many games that do ropes?
I'd have to think about it, but I feel like maybe.
That aren't just like a straight line and you're not interacting with the rest of the area with.
I've got something like in the front of my brain that's like a silver rope, like a grayish
Okay.
rope, but I can't pin down where it came from. So,
All right.
but it's not important.
Well, it's not important. Up next.
Wow, big surprise here.
Well, okay. I'm not delusional. This is an unknown company making what could appear to some people as a phone game ported to consoles. But I've seen the 15-second trailer of gameplay that they posted, and everything I've seen suggests that it is a spiritual successor to Crazy Taxi in terms of gameplay.
Hmm.
You've got drifting and boosting and jumps. Not only jumps, but air control with your jumps, which is more than Crazy Taxi can do. It's apparently being published in Japan by Sega, so they trust it enough.
Okay, very cool.
I'm saying games like this haven't come around in the past 15 years, so it comes out next month, and we'll find out.
Uh-oh. Watch out, SGDQ. Taxi Chaos PB coming through.
Mhm.
So I assume
So
you'll
yeah,
be streaming this one.
that's my idea.
Nice.
I think it's only on last gen stuff, PS4, Switch, and Xbox, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I have no expectations for this other than another game that could be Crazy Taxi, which is great.
Now, I noticed
And
the
the rest,
words crazy and
yes,
taxi in the middle panel.
yes, yes.
Is that
Go ahead.
is that an official screenshot, or did someone add in Crazy Taxi 4?
So that's some fan art or sorry, not fan art, key art from a pitch for Crazy Taxi 4 from like 12 years ago.
Okay.
There's been a number of those since then that have never seen the light of day, but this could be the closest thing to that.
Okay.
Also, to set your expectations, the original page for the publisher on this game had 3 different names for the game. So one sentence called it Taxi Chaos, one called it Taxi Mayhem, and another called it something else. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to do a little
So-
bit of research into who's developing this game.
G2 Games, which has a bunch of things that seem very questionable.
GS2 games?
Something like that.
Oh yeah, this is
GS2.
the creators behind Chicken Range and Edge of Eternity,
Okay.
Mozart Requiem, Daymare,
I think I've heard of Daymare.
Super Street Racer, Super Street the
Okay.
game,
Whoa.
Slide Stars. Yeah,
See, that's the question. But I've seen the gameplay video. It's Crazy Taxi. So
I mean this could be their breakout hit, so
we'll see. Anyway. Rhythm Doctor. So this was a game I think I mentioned last year. I've been in the mood for a rhythm game for a while. Talked about Friday Night Funkin' earlier. This is a more, I guess you would call it, kind of like Rhythm Heaven-esque thing, where it's doing a lot more things with just a single button press to keep with the rhythm to change up the gameplay instead of like having a bunch of different keys you need to press. It's just got a good style and charm to it. It's not a whole lot. It's just an indie game. It's probably only going to be a couple hours, but it seems very interesting.
yeah, it seems very silly. Like I'm almost getting WarioWare vibes from that top right screenshot.
Yeah. That's kind of the direction it's going in, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been really hankering for a rhythm game for a while, and to be honest, I almost bought Fuser, the what's the studio Harmonix game that made all the Rock Band stuff back in the day. Put out last year. That's kind of like a DJ game. Just because I don't know why. I just want a music game.
Yeah, gotcha.
I'm no DJ, but I need to feel that rhythm. So maybe this doctor will cure it. See. Comes out next month.
Is that the
So does-
only?
Good.
All right, go ahead.
No, just gonna say so does Taxi Chaos They both come out next month, supposedly.
Is that Fuser the only DJ game that came out in the last year?
Probably. I don't think there's
Okay.
many DJ games coming out.
I don't know. I saw some clips one day of a DJ game. I think it was November or December, and the guy was mixing like just making horrible. By horrible, I mean great mashups of like '90s and early 2000s pop music. So
Probably Fuser.
bring me to
It
life
has,
with like the bass line of All Star and
yes,
stuff
exactly.
like that. And it's just
Yes.
I don't know if I have the technical ability to do something to make those sorts of abominations, but it was incredible. And whoever did
Exactly.
that
I would
was a
like to
hero.
think I have.
Like they were amazing. I'd listen to them in real life. Like I would actually, if those songs existed, I would be like, yeah, I'll listen to this song. This is a nightmare. Let's rock and roll.
You
Oh, yeah.
unironically like that Evanescence song, though.
There's nothing wrong with Bring Me to Life. Who's talking to me? Um, no, that song is great. I mean, it helped that I spent about a solid week listening to that song on repeat for multiple hours a day, while my brothers played uh, Pokemon Pinball Advance.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, that was a pivotal week in my life apparently, because I still remember and reference that.
Nice.
So, so what would you do if you got a Pokemon Pinball remix of Evanescence?
What do you mean? Like Evanescence, but like with Pokemon Pinball sounds?
Yeah.
That's not what I mean. No, no, just
Okay.
Evanescence on endless
Okay.
repeat while watching people play Pokemon Pinball Advance. That's all I
Gotcha.
need.
Okay. Okay.
What else you got, Charlie?
Well, yeah. Rhythm Doctor. Okay. Anno Mutationum.
Whoa,
Uh,
Cyberpunk's looking pretty good.
exactly. So this is an actual Cyberpunk game that I played a demo for last year. Uh, you, I don't know. It's what you would expect from playing a Cyberpunk game. You're walking around a city. It's got actual combat in terms of like you got a gun and a sword, and it's very actiony. Um, you got people in holograms talking to you as your AI. Um, Lots of credits and corporate ownership type stuff. It
So
just seems like
this is a point and click.
no, no. It's free roaming, open world.
Oh, okay.
It's 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 interesting because they mix. It's like a 2D HD sprite character on a
Hmm.
3D world. So I guess I could see that being confusing, but yeah, no, you're moving depth and side to side.
I like the aesthetic for sure.
Hmm. And yeah, considering I decided to not get that popular cyberpunk experience from last year, uh, this could be it. I almost put Cyberpunk 2077 on here as a joke, but I don't know if it'll be ready yet, to be honest. So we'll see. And I think the last one, so this is a mod, but Portal Reloaded is set to come out around the middle of this year. It's basically Portal, but it's Portal with a third portal that you can set that moves you between a 20-year period. Yeah. So I saw the first like basic level of it. I was just going back and forth between those two, and I my brain was already busted. But it sounds exactly like what Portal could use in terms of mechanics.
Yeah, I'm in. That sounds awesome.
It's got, I think, I mean, it's up on a Steam page because it's just a workshop mod
Hmm.
for Portal 2. Um, but it's got like 100 some unique dialogue lines as well. So it's like an actual story, not just some levels thrown together in theory.
Did they get any of the cast from Portal? Or I guess
So,
GLaDOS or Wheatley?
so you're not playing as Shell, you're
Mm-hmm.
some other test subject, but I'm not sure who they've gotten in terms of those dialogues, if anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, I want to say it's just random other people, not anyone in the actual
They got
original
J.K.
game.
Simmons, and you're playing as Cave Johnson.
I could see it.
Yeah, this sounds
But
really
yeah,
neat. Yeah, I'm in. I never heard about this.
yeah. I mean, it's just a mod, so it's unless you're looking for mods, you're not going to hear about it.
Mm.
But Valve sure hasn't done anything with Portal, so someone should.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's. Well, I guess we got one more here.
Yeah, so this is like I added this slide on here because, like, right, everyone thinks Breath of the Wild 2 is coming this year alongside a Switch Pro. So who knows? But the thing about Nintendo is, like we said, they'll announce the game and be like, it's out in 3 months, get hype. And so we really have no idea what's coming out this year from Nintendo. About all we know is Super Mario 3D All-Stars plus Bowser's Fury. Or Bowser's Furry, or whatever it's called. I'm not
I
sure if there's a
mean,
pun there or not.
the other thing Nintendo does is they announce a game, but then they go completely quiet on it for multiple years.
Yeah, it's
And
one
then,
extreme or the other. Yeah.
yeah.
So who knows? Bayonetta 3 this year, man. Metroid Prime 4. What else is out there that we've been waiting for a long time from Nintendo?
A good
No more
Pokemon game.
heroes.
I've been waiting 20 years for that.
What
I've
did
been
you
waiting
say?
22 years from that. 23? I don't know.
Charlie, what did you
Well,
say?
you tell me Pokemon Pinball's not good, Bill?
I mean, that's a pinball game. That's not a Pokemon game.
It's got Pokemon in the name. What is it if not a Pokemon game?
It's a pinball game. That's what I just said.
Okay,
You
With
said you've been
a Pokemon
fair
skin.
enough.
waiting
Fair enough.
23 years as if Heart Gold and Soul Silver didn't come out in that period.
I'm trying to figure out when Pokemon actually came out, and the joke was there's never been a good Pokemon game.
Yeah.
If
98
you couldn't
here
get the
at least.
joke.
I think it was 96 in Japan,
Okay.
which means that this year will be the 25th anniversary of Pokemon.
Can't wait for them to do nothing about it.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, we're getting Pokemon Snap, but maybe not this year. So who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, that's an.
Yeah. I mean, they're working.
It's like a parade going down Billy's street.
It's an airplane.
Oh, nice.
I'm next to a small airstrip
Oh, okay.
and a slightly larger airport further down the road.
So I guess we'll go ahead and use this slide here. Billy, what's kind of some of the stuff you're looking forward to this year?
I mean, I saw that Nier was on the list. Like, I
Yeah.
looked at like the first slide and it was like, I want to be surprised.
Yeah, gotcha.
I figure that's much more interesting. If I'm also excited about what's going on,
Let me just run you through then what you
maybe
missed.
maybe one day I'll be excited about the show.
Nier, 12 minutes, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Resident Evil 8, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, It Takes Two, Returnal, Deathloop, and then I think you came in on either that or Ghostwire.
I think I came in at Deathloop, but
Okay.
I was like halfway through. Like Nier's the only one I actually care about in that list. I'll be blunt.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, like I said, my list would be very different if I actually knew when a lot of things were coming out. This was stuff that has an actual date.
yeah, I mean, there's stuff like, Monster Hunter Rise is coming out in March. Uh, I'll be honest, I have not been able to get into a non-Monster Hunter World game in the past. So I will put an honest effort into liking Monster Hunter Rise because it seems legit, but I don't know.
Well, to speak in terms Charlie likes, the game looks like it has really good movement. Rise does.
I mean, there's a demo out now,
Yeah.
so you can play around with it. Apparently, there's a lot of stuff that's not in the demo. Demo is mostly for people that are fans of Monster Hunter, though. I don't think Monster Hunter demos are really for general people to try out the game. It's for Monster Hunter fans to get hype about it. It's kind of my understanding of the demos. Sort of throw you in, give you a basic tutorial, and then it's go nuts, hunt monsters.
This year is also the 35th anniversary of Zelda, so we might be looking at some sort of Zelda collection this year.
Yeah, like I still want to. I would like to actually play Skyward Sword or whatever the Wii U one was.
Yeah.
I would really like to play it. That has not worked out yet so far.
They've got to do something about the motion controls, because trying to play Mario Galaxy, having to go back to having motion controls in my life just was not happening.
I don't know how good the motion controls on the for the Joy-Con is on the Switch.
Well, but I mean, it's like, even in terms of back then, every game was motion controlled. And so we all had like really buff wrists used to motion controls.
Oh,
and our wrists have atrophied over the years of going back to good controls. And so, like,
I mean, my left wrist is still pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, that was the thing I noticed first with Mario Galaxy, was having to felt really weird all of a sudden.
I mean, I'm right-handed, so I would be using my right arm and right wrist to play.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
The games.
My wrists have never gone limp. I'm in VR all the time.
Yeah. So you're fine, Charlie, but for like most people who don't have VR, yeah, it's gonna be rough to get back to.
I mean, there's also like Shimigami Tensei 4 or 5 is supposed to be coming out. I think it's supposed to be coming out this year, or sometime soon. I don't know when exactly. Like, I'm going to get that game.
And you also want that Twiwi game, right? Is that confirmed this year?
They're saying summer 2021 for Neo: The World Ends With You.
Okay.
Which is a sequel, should be a sequel to the anime, which is not the same as the DS or the Switch / mobile version of World Ends With You.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Code Geass Revolution, or like the Code Geass movie, and the new season of Code Geass is going to be based off of the compilation movies and not the actual show.
Mm-hmm. That's weird.
Yeah,
as
man.
long as it doesn't have a Kingdom Hearts story, that's fine.
Well,
World Ends With You. It's.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was in that
involved,
3DS
but
one.
I don't think he's like. I think he's mostly like art and maybe some sort of director. I don't think he's really involved in the story too much. I don't really know.
Nomura is focused on getting revenge for what happened to Final Fantasy 13 Versus, from what I understand.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, World Ends With You has a. It's a real. I mean, it's only been one game, so it's not that complicated of a story. There's not like a bunch of side material you have to read over in order to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they don't decide to do that for the game. And if they do, hopefully, someone can make sense of it all. I mean, like they do that for Nier. There's a ton of side material for Nier that if you actually want to understand what's going on, you have to read it. But that's part of the fun of Nier, I think. It's kind of what you go into there expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And there are worlds of the World Ends With You have not had that yet. I keep wanting to call it all sorts of other games. No More Heroes 3 is supposed to... I think that's supposed to come out next year, or this year too.
Yeah,
I
no
just
clue.
finished playing 1 and 2 on the Switch. It was pretty fun. I can't tell you which one I liked better.
They just meshed together into one game.
Like the gameplay in 2 is more fun, but 1 is more memorable.
Yeah, it's like with Kingdom Hearts.
And the story in like the final boss in 2, when I watched Steven play it on the Wii, was, oh boy, that was a disappointment. And in this one, because I knew it was going to be bad, it wasn't nearly as bad as I remembered. Because I knew it was going to be what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I don't like this, but this is what I remember.
I honestly remember nothing about the end of No More Heroes 2. It's
The final
like you
boss,
said, one so much more memorable.
yeah, the final boss is embarrassing, but the game calls it out. Henry shows up, helps you beat the final boss, and then the final boss goes into the third form, and he's like, I'm out. I have standards. You deal with this, Travis, and walks off screen. It's like, yeah. Yeah. That's the proper response to that thing.
Well, there's a lot that's still yet to be announced for this year. We'll have a better idea of that in the summer, probably, as Jeff Keighley's second here's a drip feed of games all summer long event continues. But I think
E3 leads.
yeah. But I think that about does it for this episode. Do you guys have any parting thoughts before we end it here? I
I'm going
guess,
to try to make fudge again sometime this year, but
Okay.
we'll see if that actually happens.
dude, you make such good fudge, for real.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I'll see. I'm not promising anyone anything.
Yeah. All right. Fair. So
I have to get like a total face mask to cover my beard and long flowing locks.
when are you planning to trim your beard? Are you waiting until what's your end game here?
I'm waiting until it gets really annoying
Right.
and like I can't
Aren't you already
sleep at
there?
night. It's getting there, but I'm gonna wait till it's at the point where I cannot stand it anymore.
Uh-huh.
Probably a month after that, then I'll do something about it. Although if it was warm or if I had a fake beard, I'd probably be more inclined to just do it in some sort of desperate attempt to change something in my miserable, empty life. But that's kind of dark for, a fun podcast about video games.
I'm glad you think it's fun.
Well, you know what I mean.
Too late, you said it.
Damn!
Thanks for watching this episode of the Mashcast, episode 23. Billy, go ahead and take us out.
Goodbye!